Hi, I want to go over the second part of our cabin drawing. So this is where your cabin should have ended up like. You've got one layer, this is zero layer. Zero layer is not something we normally draw on. So what I want to do is I want to go to layer properties and I want you to create new layers. So we can just create several and we'll rename them. We're going to create 5 layers. So layer 1 would be walls. And we're going to make that dark blue. Usually we use these colors that are down here. Layer 2 is going to be windows. We're going to make that layer red. Layer 3 is going to be doors. Layer green. Make that green. And then the next layer is going to be text. We'll make that cyan. And then the last layer, rename to be dimensions. And you'll make that magenta. And say OK. So now this is where the new layers are. If you hover over it, it'll say new layer. You can also do Alt-N. So once we've got those, we're going to close the layers panel, and I'm going to select everything that we drawn that was on the zero layer, which we don't want to draw on, and move that to the walls. You'll see it's now blue, so I know I'm on the wall layer. The next thing that we're going to do is shift to a new layer. We're going to shift to Windows. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a window. I'm going to go ahead and lock the walls layer so that I can't manipulate it. I can snap to it, but I can't manipulate it. And the windows are going to have a 2-inch frame. So I'm going to use the rectangle tool, and I'm going to make a frame that's 2 inches wide by 6 inches deep. So the length of the wall. And I'm just going to copy this and move it over to here. Next, I'm going to I want to explode those. And I want to get rid of the line that is against the wall, because we want the wall to end before the window starts, because that's going to be a heavier line. And I'm going to draw the sills on the outside. And I'm going to offset those. So my wall is 6 inches thick. My window is 1 inch thick for the glass. So I'm going to offset 2.5 inches from each side to get a 1 inch glass spacing on the inside. And then you can always come and check your measurements really quick and make sure that you're correct. Now, what I want to do next is I've got all these as individual lines. See, these are 3 lines at the top. So I want to join those. So I'm going to highlight the whole group and I'm going to type in overkill. Overkill can get rid of duplicate lines. It can also combine collinear objects or combine collinear objects when aligned end to end. So I'm going to say OK. And now you'll see that I got rid of those 3 lines and made 1. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the whole thing and I'm going to group it. I can then copy this whole group and I can drop it wherever I have a window. So I've got a window here. I've got a window here. That's a door, a window, and I've got one here that I'm going to rotate. My next thing would be I can come and I can stretch. So you want to pick stretch first, then highlight from right to left the window, and I'm going to stretch it out. I want to make sure your object snap is on. So I look down here, my object snap is on. I don't need the ortho on. So stretch, grab, move. Just keep doing this. Then I've got this last window. All I need to do is rotate that window. Now I want my ortho on, so I'm going to hit my F8 key, or I can hit ortho down here. I'm going to rotate that, take ortho off so I can move it. And then again, I'm going to stretch. Now, if I choose the object first and then click stretch, all it does is move it. Because I want to just stretch the end, I've got to pick stretch first and then choose the object. And remember, anything that's in our crosshairs is stretched. So my next piece is to do a door. So I'm going to change my layer to my doors layer. I'm going to draw a rectangle. So I need the door to be as wide as the opening. My opening is 3 feet wide. So I'm going to have a door that's 3 feet wide. And for our purposes, we're going to do a 2-inch thick door. So my dimension is going to be, I'm going to type in D, and then I'm 2 inches across, and then I'm 36 down. It'll ask me to position it. I want to position it so that the edge of the door is right at the edge of the wall. Then I'm going to draw an arc. And underneath the arc are all different kinds of ways that you can draw the arcs, or different commands. I like start, center, angle. So I'm going to start my arc here. Don't start it here. Start it here, center, and then my angle is going to be 90 degrees. Everything is going counterclockwise. So I've got my door there. Now I can take that door and I can right click on it and I can group it, and then I can copy it because my door down here at the other end is also 3 feet wide. And I'm going to rotate the door. And then I'm going to mirror the door. And this time when I mirror it, I'm going to delete the old object. So we want to delete the old object. I say yes. And then I take my ortho off and I will move my door. Again, it's this point on the door. Your hinge point needs to be at the edge of the wall. This door is 2'6" wide, so I've got to create a new door. So I will click, type in D again, and this time I'm measuring across, so it's going to be 30 inches across and 2 high. And then do the arc the exact same way. Start, center, angle. This time I have to do -90. Then I can just grab this door. I can group it. And I can copy it. I need to mirror this door. Make sure object the ortho's on. And I want to delete the old object. Move. Place that there. So I've got all my doors and windows in relatively short order. This is a sliding door. So we're going to draw it a little bit differently. Still on the doors layer. And I'm going to do a rectangle that is half of the width wide. So my dimension will be 3 by 2. And somehow I lost it. Click here. D, 3, 2. So this is one part of the sliding door. I want to, so my door width is 7 feet. So 3.5 foot is the size of each door. So I'm going to offset my wall. So I'm going to unlock my wall layer for just a second. There, we're unlocked. And I'm going to offset 3'6". Next, I'm going to copy this down to the edge here. I'm going to put a line in the middle. So line, and then I type in mid, M-I-D. Let me get a line from the mid of here. What I need to do is I need to explode these guys first. I'm going to go back and do my line from the mid. See that little triangle there? And I want to do it to the mid here. Now I'm going to copy. I'm going to go back and lock my wall layer so I don't copy the wall. I'm going to copy that layer, and I'm going to bring it down so it is right in this area. Now I want to explode all of this. I want to get rid of the line that touches the wall. You can either select the erase tool or select the object and hit delete. There's my door. That's all finished. And I can either leave it locked or unlock my walls, however I want to do that. So that's my sliding door. Next, I want to do some text. So I'm going to go to the text command, and I'm going to go to annotate, multi-line text. And I'm going to specify a corner. I'm going to type in living room. And in architecture, we do it in all caps. I'll hit return. Where'd it go? Well, it's right here. So if you zoom in on it, what I need to do is right click on the properties and change the text height. We're going to make it 6 inches. Now I can read it. It's in the room. You might say that's a little small, but we could switch it to 8 if we want. So did you notice? So I created a box, and now my line is on 2 texts. If I take that arrow key, I can make it all on 1 line. Or I can keep it 2 lines if I want to. Always better to do a multi-line text because you can add to it. So now I'm going to copy this a couple times. I'm going to call this room the bath. So if I highlight on it, I can totally change the text. Click here, double click, and I'm going to call this the bedroom. I've got that all done. My last thing is to do dimensions. So what I want to do is I want to go to the dimensions. And this is probably the hardest part of what we're doing, is setting up the dimension style. So I'm going to go to dimensions. I have to go to annotate first. I'm going to go to dimensions and click on standard. And I'm going to manage dimension styles. I'm going to do a new, which is a copy of standard. I'm going to call this exterior dimensions. And we'll continue. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go in and watch this area up here. As we change things, this will change. The first thing we're going to do is our primary units. We're going to change them to architectural. Instantly, you see it looks more like what we're used to. We're going to take off 0 suppression on inches. So instead of saying just 1 feet, it'll say 1 feet 0 inches. Then we're going to go to Fit, Text Placement over the dimension line. We're going to go to Text. Let's make this text, let's start with 6 inches at 1/4 inch scale. That would be 1/8 inch high. Offset from dimension line, I want you to do 1 inch. And text placement, I want to be above. And view direction is left to right. So you notice how the text all of a sudden went above. Next, we're going to go to symbols and arrows, and we will pick architectural tick. And you notice when we pick the first, the second becomes architectural tick. We're going to make the arrow size 2 inches, or the tick size 2 inches. We'll say OK. Now you see it's starting to look a little bit better. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to choose that as my dimension, and I'm going to pick linear dimension, and I'm just going to go across and dimension to the window. And then I'm going to click continue, and I can get the dimensions all the way across. Don't do that last dimension. Instead, we're going to do an overall dimension. You need to have your object snap-on to do this, 25 feet. And then you'll continue to do this around all the sides. It's pretty easy once you get it established. Here we're only doing 2 dimensions. I'll show you why. And it's because you don't want to fill it with dimensions. Okay, I've got a little bit of a problem here. I didn't have this on correct, so I'm dimensioning to mid-air. So what I could do is I can come and grab this dimension, and I can move the leader bar. Now I moved it for the 11-inch dimension, so now I have to move it for this other one, and I'll get to my 3 feet. So you can correct dimension mistakes as you move along. Now I just need one more overall. So we'll do it on this side. And then you can go ahead and add all the interior dimensions in also. So a couple things. I did not, my offset from, I don't have an offset from the object, and I didn't extend my extension lines. So these are the extension lines, the ones that come from the object, and the ones between 2 or more extension lines are dimension lines. So I didn't have an extension here and here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to exterior dimensions. I'm going to leave this one open. I'm going to do manage dimension styles, and I'm going to modify exterior dimensions. Okay, so what I want to do first is I want to show you something, primary units. I'm going to click off 0 inches as a suppression. I'm going to say OK and close. And notice it went from 4 feet to 0 inches to just 4 feet. We don't want that. We want it to say 4 feet 0 inches. So I'm going to again go and manage dimension styles. I'm going to modify, and I'm going to take off that 0 suppression. So I want to see 0 inches. Next, I'm going to, our precision, I didn't talk about that, is 1/16 of an inch. That's fine. Offset from dimension line. That's how far this is above the dimension line. We'll leave that okay. Symbols and arrows. So here we have lines. Extend beyond dimension lines. Let's put in 1 inch for right now and see what that looks like. And let's offset from the origin 1 inch also. Extend beyond ticks, we're also going to do 1 inch. If you don't type in inch or feet, it just assumes your inches. We're going to say close. And now you can see I've got an extension here, and I'm not touching the object. So that is how you do the dimension lines. I'd like you to try on your own to do the interior ones to match what the assignment sheet was given. And you can email me if you have any questions about this.